There we go. Good evening, The Rage, aka Jim from.
Film Rage
There we go.
podcast.
Thank you for saving me. Thank you for saving me that fast. Just drew a blank. uh, Thank you for coming out virtually this evening to this little shindig called Oakcliff Beach. How you doing this night?
I could not be better. You know what? This is my favorite thing to do is talk to people and have a good time. So, if you've ever seen Hot Rod, the movie Hot Rod, no,
I can't say I have. I can't say I have.
it's Andy Samberg. It's a comedy. It's one of my funniest shows in my opinion. One of the lines in it is, "My name is Jim, and I like to party." And then they just literally go and introduce themselves. And, my name is SANe. I like to party. And it's just like, hey, wait a minute. You can't say that. That's what I said. Anyway. It's,
well, my name is SANe and I like to party.
There you go. Now you're already up to speed on Hot Rod.
So one of the funniest things right now, well, not even right now in my life, is just something that I've just came along with as I've coasted through. Everyone will drop a movie on me and I'll just be oblivious to it because I don't know a lot of movies, surprisingly. And it's a lot of those good ones. What is it? I finally saw About last night, probably like 2 years ago. And it was because I consider it a chick flick. So I didn't want to watch it right out the bat. I woke up at like 3 a.m. and it was on. And I got a chance to just enjoy it and realize how good that movie really is.
Yeah. It's, what's funny, right? Is where your life takes you and where you are. You're so focused on what you're doing with your music that, who has time for film, right? It's kind of one of those things. You where your passion's taking you. And,
Yeah.
Right now you'd probably be much, just listening to your last episode. And, it's like, if you got waking hours, you're going to be doing music.
It's what I do. Majority of the time, try my darndest to, I came up with a strategy. I want to eat a sandwich. I need to have made maybe 8 beats. If I haven't made 8 beats or a total of it, what am I doing? What am I doing? It's like you need to give yourself a reason for having a good time. And I love it. But on top of that, there's so much other things that I like to do. Like I like writing scripts. I like making films, or I say making films. I like attempting to make things. Because with all the stuff that we're doing, I kind of like to think of myself now as an executive producer and to make, because I'm doing this. There's other shows, and then we're trying to build this whole little variety stream. So I am no stranger to film. I have a couple skits I've died in.
Hey, well, yeah, but I mean that's one of those things too. Is it? Are you a film fan that you love to watch film, or do you like to make film? Because I think there's a big difference.
Both. Though.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I love art. So
yeah.
Since you say that, honestly, I would think you would be a little bit of both as well. But I'll let you speak for yourself.
Yeah. No. I consider. I don't want to say I'm a Renaissance man by any means, but like I've been involved in so many different things in my long tenured life. We won't talk about how old I feel, but I've done a lot of stuff, and I just new things keep popping up and new things to want to do and try. And it's funny, like we had been chatting on Twitter too about the fact that my music career, I ended it quite a few years ago, and it was my life. Like it was like some of the things I hear you say about you'd just be sitting there and you'd drop a beat, or you'd just come up with a melody, or it just hits you and you gotta get it down. And that was my life. I could write like 3 or 4 songs a day, 4 or 5 songs a day, and I was always in a band, so it was easy to lay it down, right?
Yeah.
But then, I got to a point because I started a young family, and it was a case of I had to choose between my music or my family.
Yeah.
And I for me, it's what I did. Picked my family, and I'm glad I did. And now that my kids are kind of grown up and moved out, that's my next focus, right? Like what do I want to do with my creativity? And so I started with the podcast because film's been a big thing for me. And you know what? Yeah, who knows? The music bug, it never leaves you,
Yeah.
right?
I tried to run
Right?
away from it. It sucked. I remember when I decided to run away for it. I took on multiple jobs, and I just said, "All right, let's just make money." And that didn't work out. That did not work out. I dropped the iPod, and then soon learned the music would start in my head without me being able to connect with it. So I knew. I remember when I left my job. My manager, he told me, he said, "Everyone, it's a sad day. Derek's just leaving us to go chase his dreams and have desires." And I said, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing."
That's what yeah, man, if you don't if you don't have a reason not to, I think if you can eat, have a place over your head, and do what you love,
Yeah,
everybody should do it. Everybody should do it. It's because if it especially for the people who are super passionate, you can see the passion that you got. It's it's if you don't, it will eat you up inside, right?
yeah, it does. It it's one of those things where you can. It's so I ran across a story one time. I forgot the gentleman's name. It was a music producer, and I think he ended up committing some horrendous act. I think he committed a murder. I forgot his name, but basically, what happened when they were doing their documentary on it, one of the ladies said, "God, I wish I remember his name so I can have context." He basically was a great music producer and writer, and they said after the music ended for him, he didn't know how to live regular life. Without music, he couldn't function. And I always joke around with my friends, and I say jokingly because I don't need anyone to come back and say, "All right, it's time to counsel you." But I always wonder what I would do if I didn't have the creative spark that I have. If I didn't have those desires, what would I be doing? Would I just be working, or
Yeah.
worse, would I be figuring out some? I'm not going to say that. I need to stop saying would I be a serial killer because that might come back to haunt me. But
You know what? Maybe I don't know. Just it's something you got to battle down on a daily basis. Like, okay, here comes the music. It's coming in, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, hold on.
You're thinking twice, bass or a shake. No.
Yeah, it's like boom, 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 boom,
Here's Johnny.
You can do both, man. Just do both.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Only you and me now know, buddy. Only you and me know.
But so you have to forgive me. I did not. So whenever I have a person on the show, I like to give more time to do research, check out an episode. For your case, I want to go through all of your music and listen to it. I'm in Texas, so I don't know if you've seen in Twitter. I almost canceled today's episode, but I have a new rule. When you set a plan, you don't, because that just looks bad. And I just want to go ahead and, hey, I want to hop in the show. But we've been battling a little blizzard down here.
Yeah, I
And
heard. Like you guys were colder than where I live. I actually posted something on Twitter yesterday. And I'm in Canada and you're in the US.
Oh,
you use
shut up!
Fahrenheit. Yeah. So up here we use Celsius, you use Fahrenheit down there. And I posted it was -8 yesterday, which has been warm for us because it dropped to like -30 for like 2 solid weeks. And one of the people on Twitter, one of my Twitter family, they're like, "Oh yeah, all of us in the South, we should get together and hook up and have a chat." And I'm like, we can, except for I'm in Canada. My temperature is the same as yours right now. Holy shit, it's cold in Texas. Holy cow, man.
So how is that? And I have the question and I have the filler part next to it. I always tell people that if you're born up north, men are built differently in the cold because it's demanding more out of you. So you automatically get like 10 plus stats because of being born in the cold. So how is that up there? How is that?
Like, how is it that you're like that? I'm
How
much.
is it
You're
cold?
saying that's it's well, there's measurements of cold, right? Like, so if you've seen a map of Canada, right? It's
Yeah,
pretty fucking big. Let's face
it
it,
is.
it's huge. And it at one side of, and because we're the majority of Canada, when you look at the map, I think it's something like 95 or even 98% of the population lives
Mhm.
about I want to say maybe 150 miles from the US border. It's it's because we all live to the southern part of Canada. Not very many people live up in the far north, right? So, the same it's funny, we'll go to Montana on holidays to get
Mhm.
access to the lakes and stuff there. It's beautiful if you've never been there. It's
I
freaking amazing. And so we'll go there, and some of the people from Montana will go like, "Oh, you're from Canada. Like, how do you live in the igloos in the summertime?" I'm like, "Dude, I live like 150 miles from where you live. Do you really think that I live in an igloo? Like, come on."
I mean, hey, it's crazy how you can build your own picture of something and not even go there. I mean, Texas, if you think Texas, everyone supposedly has a cowboy hat. We all ride horses and we love us some Whataburger. This is kind of true, but that's not
On
the
the burger
point.
side, on the burger side, okay, so I've been to Houston quite a few times because I used to go there
Okay.
on business, and I love me going to Texas. There's some great stuff that happens down there, and the barbecue. Like, I mean, the having barbecue in Canada is a joke. It's like, go to Kansas City, you go to Houston. Like, I had some just, oh man, it's just so good. Speaking of food, holy cow, man, that's one of my motivators.
Dude, I mean, okay, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I can't tell you. I understand why people constantly do it, why people decide to eat 3 times a day, and why we think back how we didn't do that and how we've evolved it to a social thing. It's a great experience, man. I've had some things that just made me. I love sitting there and stopping and just closing my eyes when I had something really good and just. Mm, it's just it's just
reflecting, reflecting. Oh
it's
yeah,
oh,
and it was like something where you have a like. I'm a huge, huge foodie, like massively huge. Like my thing is finding restaurants that I've never had and trying to
mhm.
just expand my taste palette. Like there's 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 very minimal amount of foods that I have not tried, like, and from every culture, because I grew up in Toronto and
Mhm.
I moved out west as I got older. And, Toronto is probably one of the biggest melting pots in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's just got every single culture. You can go, "You know what? I think I want Sumatran today. Let's go find a Sumatran
Wait,
restaurant."
Sumatra?
It's like, yeah, like, you name it. You pick a country, there's
I'm
someone
trying
that's
to.
making that food.
I don't know what Sumatran is, or I'm not. It's not clicking with me. What is Sumatran? The origin.
Isn't that from Sumatra? Like, am I picking the
I
wrong name?
it's either that or I don't know of this place, which I'm not surprised. I don't know a lot of things.
Well, it's a very small. Well, I don't say small. It's an island in Indonesia.
Mhm.
So yeah, like it's just a random country you're picking. But I mean, you can find like, see, there's a perfectly good example. You wouldn't even known there was Sumatran food until it bit you in the face, right? It's kind of like, huh,
Exactly.
right? So that's
I
the thing.
just
Like, that's for me. It's my passion.
well, so I went and had barbecue today. I slid over when the snow got me a barbecue and it's a very wonderful sandwich. So what they did is they took a Cuban and there's the ham on it, but there's
Yep.
brisket on there as well.
Yep.
So you had a barbecue before? Okay,
No,
so
I
yeah.
wait. No, I haven't had that, but I've had Cubans many times.
Well, it's a barbecue, and the gentleman that's there that he made it. I don't know if he made it, but he was inspired from his. He was in Florida, and today we were just having a conversation back and forth, and he was telling me about Gooner. Like having gooner, and I didn't know what gooner was. They were just throwing it back and forth like it was this real big conversation. Oh man, I love some gooner. So I had to stop and ask. I was like, and
Is that like
I don't know if I'm
grouper?
grouper. Yes, I'm screwing it up.
Okay, grouper.
It's
Okay, I'm
grouper.
like
It's
gooner. I've had
grouper.
grouper. Yeah, that's the Florida fish. That's the
Yeah.
Florida fish.
So
Grouper.
I didn't know there was. I didn't know anything about carnivorous, carnivorous, or whatever word I'm supposed to say. I didn't know that those were a thing outside of piranhas. And I found out today about a red grouper, a black grouper, and it's just crazy because there's a whole fish out there that's cleaner than regular fish because it eats other fish and people serve it up. So, I learned about grouper fish today. I walked into a barbecue place, learned about grouper fish, and now I got to figure out where I can get some grouper fish.
You know what? I would not doubt it that if you searched in Houston, are you in Houston or Dallas?
I'm in Dallas. Yeah, it's complicated. I'm in Dallas, but then I'm not. It's a thing.
Secret Dallas. Okay, so we're in Austin today, you and me.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, we're in Austin, which is a wonderful place.
Oh yeah, man! It's my dream to go there during festival time. Like it's just my absolute dream.
Same here.
To go there.
Same here.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Let's meet there one year.
I'm totally down. I've been wanting to go to South by Southwest for probably now about 5 years and running, and every time it comes up, the actual time we were going to go, pandemic. That was the time it just said nope, you're not making it happen. Because when I was younger, I always wanted to go to perform, and then someone sat me on my ass and told me, "Hey, you should go experience a place first before you just want to go perform there. Go experience it, enjoy it, and after that, then decide if you actually want to perform there." So
that's a dumb question, right? It's like if you want to wait, hold on a second. I'm a performer. And do I want to perform? Let me think about. Yes, I do.
Exactly.
I want to perform but I know what you mean, right? It's kind of like you get the whole feel of the festival. You get to enjoy the whole festival, and then you can come back and have all the stress of making sure everything's perfect in your performance, right?
Enjoy it. As I'm growing, I have learned to shut up, sit down, and enjoy shit, and stop moving in such a flux. I've learned. You're talking to a better aged version of me. I used to be name a shitty drink, and I was that. I was one of those margaritas, those strawberries made by Budweiser. That's what I was. That's what I was originally. I'm finally becoming a good batch of whiskey.
Oh yeah, get you some Kentucky there. There we go.
There you go.
That's the stuff. So yeah, I bet you if you ever go to Houston, wink, that you search grouper in Houston, you'll be able to find it. Like it's so funny. It's so funny you say that though. Like I've been to Florida quite a few times, and and that's all they serve. It's like grouper nuggets, this or grouper that. Everything's grouper. It's like I'm sorry, do you have any other fish? No. It's just grouper. And the thing is, it's an ugly fish. Oh, yeah, I've had grouper many times. Yeah. I've been to, anytime you go, how many times have you been to Florida? Have you been to Florida?
I have not been to Florida. And right now, with all the past years, we were deciding if we were going to write the state off. But but I got to give them. They're not bullshitting, man. They're like, hey, man, we're having a good time. Screw all this. But well, I want to ask you, could you describe what the flavor is for grouper? Because
it's a more denser fish. Like it's a denture. Have you had have you had mahi mahi?
No, I've had barramundi.
See, that's one I haven't had. It's dense. Have you had halibut? What about halibut?
Whew. So believe it or not, my fish spectrum goes catfish, tilapia.
And that's it. No.
And I mean, I've had shrimp, probably crab, like some lobster, but like that's a whole other thing. I think honestly, my fish spectrum is catfish, tilapia, and probably some random. Like I've had
Like
I've had
fish and chips. You've had fish and chips, which is
I've
like,
had
what
to
is
play
the
fish. I've had cod.
Okay,
I've
yeah.
had swordfish. I have had a swordfish steak.
Okay.
And
Okay. So if you took cod, this is the best I can explain it. If you took cod
okay.
and mixed it with swordfish, it's almost like it would be grouper.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because it's
okay.
dense, it's denser. It's not as light. Like cod is like a really light white fish, right? And
Yeah.
and grouper has a little bit more texture to it. Like swordfish is also a denser fish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Now you don't have to go have grouper. Just
Yeah. Just put some cod and swordfish in a blender. There you go. You got it.
you can make yourself a milkshake. There you go.
There you yeah.
Wait, I gotta get that taste out of my mouth.
It's very watery. No. But it's so I always ask people this mainly because I just want to see what they're gonna fish out of their bucket. But is there an animal on the planet that you want to eat? Like you just gotta have it. Well, you look at it and you know for a fact it's on your bucket list and you gotta eat it.
Okay, can we still talk about being serial killers? Because maybe
I
human
mean,
flesh.
I if you want to, I mean, I'm gonna leave it open, man. Let's do it. Just do it.
No, you know what's funny? So I because I've eaten so much stuff, it's funny as much as I love barbecue, but I try to eat more of a more less meat sort of diet. There's even a lot of days where I just eat vegan or vegetarian, but
Mhm.
it's not because of my moralistic compass. Like it's not that I don't, but I don't believe in eating like animals that are endangered or extinct, right? So
Mm.
for me, it's kind of like I can imagine everything's going to be delicious. You can't, if it's cooked right. But I've
Yeah.
eaten stuff like that. People like, okay, because you're from Texas and I'm from Texas of the North, which is Alberta. So it's
Ah,
funny. Like
ah.
I'm not kidding you when I say like people say, oh, you're from Texas, like you wear a cowboy hat and cowboy boots and walk around and spurs and shit, and it's like they think the same thing about Alberta and specifically Calgary, where I'm from. The city that I'm from is literally the Houston North, man. It's like all the oil and gas companies are here.
That's
And
crazy.
it's all that way, right? So so yeah, it's kind of crazy in that respect. But yeah, so I've eaten horse. And so if you say that to somebody in Alberta, they look at you like you're crazy. But the largest horse plant, I think I might have lost you. Your pic's gone. Uh-oh. You dropped. It's me talking to SANe when he's ghosted me. I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe this is recording. Maybe it's not.
Can you hear me?
There he comes. There he comes. Hey, buddy.
Okay. I hate when either data lag or whatever it's called. I forgot. I used to have the word, but the point is, I hate when it falls out the connection. That's the one downfall of virtual reality. But anyway, as you were saying,
Horse. So I've eaten horse in France, and if you say that to people in Alberta, they look at you like you're crazy. But the
no, we just
largest
ate at Jack in the
horse meat.
Box.
You see, Jack in the Box makes now horse nuggets. What?
No,
Oh, you're just
no, like once upon a time, that was like I don't know if it was a joke or not, but Jack in the Box was like, oh yeah, those burgers may contain horse meat. So yeah.
Or what about Arby's? Isn't Arby's actually have horsey sauce?
They do have horseradish, so I don't know if there's connections, but
I think it
I'm
used to be
not
called horsey
surprised.
sauce.
I'm not surprised, man. I would not be surprised what we've been eating.
If you don't know,
Every
and it
year
still
they
tastes
come,
good.
yeah. But it's funny because every year they come out and tell us now serving all white meat, and then just sit there and go, oh, what have we? Premium chicken just came out.
Yeah. What was it all before? That's what I. Okay, it's a funny story. This is one of my obviously you have Subways down there.
Yes.
Subway is the only fast food chain I will not eat their food. They did a study up here in Canada back
Okay.
a little while ago, and they wanted to test because they wanted to have a comparison for all of the fast food chains as to what percentage of their chicken was actually chicken. And
Mm.
every single fast food, I mean, I guess there's always kind of filler, and there's probably other shit they throw in with a
Rib
chicken
meat.
sandwich, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it's called. It's mystery meat. They add to
Yeah.
it. To our point, it could have been horse. And then Subway, it was something like there was only 40% chicken in their chicken.
Mm.
40%, and most of it was soy, which, you know, as I do eat a little bit more vegetarian, I wasn't so disappointed. But I'm like, if I'm gonna fucking buy chicken, I want fucking chicken.
love
I do
chicken.
not want
Exactly.
toad chicken or whatever, turkin or whatever it's called. You know, I want to eat what I'm paying for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dever,
And,
don't eat Subway anymore. I'm just saying.
well, didn't they just come out with like all premium chicken? They just came out with premium chicken.
So they say, let's
All right.
test this stuff. Let's
Only
test this stuff.
20%. Only 20% tofu now, right? You know, it's crazy when it comes to that because I mean we don't really know anyway what we're eating. I was sitting there doing, I guess you can call it an experiment or more. I was calling it healthy, but I was just kind of just bullshitting. I stopped at one time. I stopped drinking cranberry juice, the Ozarka cranberry juice. It was the cocktail, and I stopped drinking it because it had sugar in it and all the other craps, and I switched it to 100%. And then I stopped drinking that because it was still stuff in there it didn't put sugar in there, but it still were adding things that wasn't sugar to make it sweet.
Yep.
So I got
Yep.
original cranberry juice, just straight cranberry juice. Started drinking that and realized cranberry juice tastes like shit. But
although if you add sugar to it and vodka,
yeah,
it's actually not that bad.
that's actually one of the things that I would do. I would start making my own sodas with it. I would add 2 spoons of sugar, a club soda, mix it up. If you want to add some rum to it, there you go. Now you have a soda that's not as many calories as an actual soda. And
Or just get like stevia. Have you ever had stevia? It's not always the greatest tasting, but you can add that to it and just try and eliminate the sugar, or use honey. I make my
God, you just
simple
reminded
syrup
me.
with honey. What?
So what is it called? Come on, I know this. There's a sparkling water or sparkling juice, and it's called Canada, not Canada Dry. That's a ginger ale. What is that?
Well, Canada Dry is like it's the name brand. So they make Canada Dry club soda. They make Canada Dry tonic water. They make Canada Dry ginger ale. So,
but is there a water that has different flavors? It's a water. What's it called? Because it's like it's Canadian Clear, Canadian.
Oh yeah, Clearly Canadian.
Yes. Okay. So the excitement. All right. So the reason.
Yes.
So I want to be bougie one day. I said one day when I get enough money, I just want to have a refrigerator when my friends come over. I just want to fill it from top to bottom with Clearly Canadian and show it to them. And not offer any. And if they do get a chance to offer it, I'm gonna give them like the smallest cups and pour like shot glasses of Clearly Canadian. That's my far-fetched dream.
I want to go to this party. I want to go to this Clearly Canadian party. If you invite me, you will clearly have a Canadian at that party as well.
There you go. That's what I call fine living. That's fine living right there. I'm serving Clearly Canadian with a guy that's clearly Canadian. That's how you do it. That is how you do it.
If only they made like a Simply American. That's
just walking around with a hamburger. No,
and Simply American. There you go.
But it's just before I went on that random excitement tour, you were talking about making your own syrup. It's I like making my own stuff because well, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Uh, those same juices that I had, there's like you can get the pure form of cranberry, pure form
Yep.
of pineapple, apple, etc. And then you can essentially make your own cocktail, make it taste the way that it's supposed to taste in the bottle. And
Oh yeah.
I don't know, it's more
And
work,
know
but it,
and
it, it
know
feels good.
and know what the ingredient is, right? Like you
Yeah,
made it from scratch. I mean, if it says it's, you got to assume there's not, 40% soy in your in your
right,
in your
right.
juice, but if it says 100% cranberry juice, you got to assume that's what it is, right? Because they probably aren't supposed to say that otherwise. But yeah, it's or even just trying to find ways to minimize. It's funny. My partner on our podcast, Bryce, he's vegan, and
Hmm.
so we're out when the theaters were open. Whenever we go out, we usually try and cram as many movies as we can on our viewing night, quote unquote. And so we'd always go eat vegan because I'm not afraid to eat it. I've said
Hmm.
it. It's out there. I'm not afraid to eat vegan because there's some
And
pretty
you
good
go ahead, because people. There's a lot of people that are like, "Oh my God, the vegans have entered the room."
yeah, that's the vegan. And that's one of the things. Bryce is not judgmental at all about being vegan. It's kind of funny too because there's normally three of us on our podcast,
Hmm.
but our buddy Murray is taking a hiatus during COVID because he
Yeah.
doesn't like to do this kind of stuff. He doesn't like to do Zoom and and Discord and that type of stuff. He only wants to be together as people because he thinks that gel's better, right? Um, so anyway, Murray on one hand is, I would say, probably a meatitarian. And then on
Mm.
the other side, I got Bryce, who's the vegan. And I kind of fit nicely in the middle there because I'm like, and I'm out with Bryce, we'll sit and we'll eat vegan that night. And then when I go to Vegas with Murray, it's kind of like, we want to go to the all you can eat crab and rib fest.
Omnivore for the win, man. Omnivore for the win.
100%. Yeah. So, life is good, man. We live in such a world of abundance. And sometimes I feel guilty about that. You know,
Why?
we
Why
watched,
so though?
well, I just watched, so with our podcast, we get approached a lot of times from filmmakers. It's kind of funny. And we have a rule that um, we don't just view movies when people say, "Hey, man, can you watch this movie?" And like, I may still
Mm.
watch it. Like, I'll say, "Hey, yeah, just give me a shot," but I don't. Won't put it on our podcast unless it's playing at a festival that we're part of. Like, we get asked by festivals, "Hey, can you come and podcast for a festival?" Um, or uh, or if it's streaming, like on a streaming service, right? So it's a real film that's made it to like Tubi, or it's made it to Amazon Prime, or it's on Netflix, or it's on, one of the streaming devices, or on VOD, right?
Yeah.
Um, so because otherwise, I mean, we get hit up probably 5 or 6 times a week. "Hey man, can you watch my movie?" Yeah, I could, but I can't watch everybody's movie.
Yeah.
So we were just a part of this film festival. It's the 18th annual Human Rights Film Festival. And so last week on our podcast, we did a movie called Maxima.
Hmm.
And it's about this woman from Chile who's battling this evil, I want to say one of the most fucking evil companies on the planet, that is a gold company. They're the largest gold company in the world. And they're just destroying the people in her region, poisoning their water with their gold shit. So that was
Mm.
one film. And, as much as I love watching the movies, they make me crazy. There's a reason why we're called Film Rage, by the way. And then we, for our podcast that we just recorded and put out yesterday, we watched this movie called Love Child. And like, okay, we both live in North America. It's pretty first world that we live in. And, these people were from Iran, and her husband was abusive. He was an
Hmm.
alcoholic, drug addict. And so I can't even fathom some of the things that are happening in these countries that are supposed to be civilized. In particular, this one. So she went to the government. Like, I can't even understand. I want to get a divorce from my husband because he's beating me. And they said,
Mm.
"No, We're not going to give you that. Just go and pray about it and watch TV. I'm like, what? Like, that was literally what they told her. Go watch TV and pray about it. And I'm like, this is not cool. So she ended up cheating on her husband, and she fell in love with this other guy, and they have a baby. Obviously, the name of the movie is Love Child.
Yeah.
And so because of that happening, if it ever came out, they would both be killed, both in two different reasons. She would be stoned to death, like for having a baby out of wedlock with an abusive spouse. She'd be stoned to death in the town center, and he would be murdered in some other heinous way. And so they had to escape to live in Turkey. And you just think to yourself, like, we're still allowed to make choices on who we marry, or, you know, these kind of things. So I feel kind of guilty when you start thinking around the world of what's happening, right? And even you, of all people, too, what's happening even in the US with some of what's happening in there, right? Like up in Canada, we watch it. That shit's happening everywhere. You can't avoid it, right? Like
it's the craziest thing, honestly, because it was last year when I started doing all of this. I made a good friend out of London, Paul Evans. And
great name.
Yeah, he's cool people too. And through him, I learned that Black History Month doesn't just happen in America. It's everywhere. Everyone's serving, or not serving. Everyone's going through shit. Every single person is going through shit all around this little planet. And it's crazy because things like Hotel Rwanda, when I first saw that and was open, learned about what was going on there. Beautiful movie. But just going into the context of, you have people who have decided they have different tribes, and if I'm not mistaken, they were part of a tribe, the same tribe at one point, broke off, and now they're just bloodshed enemies and just going through wrecking shop. And they are the government. It's crazy that there is still as much chaos on this planet that I would think we would be solving something like this, but
it
I
seems
don't
like
know.
It's true what you say too, right? It's kind of like I don't get it, because I grew up in a multicultural city where you go to school and every single one of your friends is from a different country. It's like, it's all normal. But then, and you start thinking like, okay, I mean, I don't know if you know, there's a friends of ours, Taboo's podcast.
I do know. I haven't had the pleasure of sitting down with them, but I do know Taboo's podcast.
So I want to give a plug to Taboo's because Ali and Celeste are just two of the most amazing people on the planet. And for everyone who's listening to us today, go listen to their white privilege episode, and then go listen to the Black Women Matter episode. It'll fucking change your mind. Like, it's just, we don't realize what we walk around with every day. And then when you see other things, like, it's just, people need to be aware of stuff, right? I think people live inside these bubbles, and they walk around in these bubbles, and because they don't interact with other people, they don't understand they don't have that empathy or passion or compassion for other people, right? It's, and maybe we don't want to get so, because I could talk about how, you know, I can't help it. I carry our own white privilege. I'm a white male that lives in a country that's majority white, right? Like, I can't help that. But I can be an ally. I can say when I see shit that goes, that's fucking fucked up, it shouldn't be happening. And it happens in our country. Like, people, like Canadians sometimes like to sit on this pedestal and go, oh, well, at least we're not the States, man. We're Canada. And I think to myself, do you guys even know what's happening to our Aboriginal groups here? Like, it's just embarrassing, right?
Please inform me on that, because I mean, as cartoons, as media portrays Canadians, the only thing we really know about Canada, well, and I'm probably just speaking for myself. For me, I know that I should probably learn a little bit of French when I go there. I know Drake. I mean, come on, everyone knows Drake.
Who doesn't know Drake?
And secondly, Canadians are the nicest people that ever existed. You know, that's what we know. And Dudley do right.
Dudley motherfucking do right. Oh yeah.
But I shed light on that because I'm oblivious. I'm pretty sure everyone deals with some shit, but I'm oblivious to it.
Yeah, well, the history of Canada, it comes from the same history as America, right?
Yeah.
It we all came over here from somewhere else, and then it was mostly the Spanish, right, who kind of took over South America, and then it was the French and the
Yeah.
English, right? So, and then they just they found the Aboriginal tribes, they worked with them to get what they wanted, the resources that they wanted from them, and then they basically stole their land. So,
Yeah.
and then kind of pushed them. Like I've got stories. So like I've been lucky in my job. I've traveled a little bit around the world with the job I do for that pays me my bills. But I've also been to every province in Canada except one. So we have 10 provinces and 3 territories, and the 3 territories are the ones up in the far north. So I've
Mhm.
met a lot of Inuit people there. So there's the traditional Aboriginals, and then there's the Inuit, which is a whole other group of Aboriginal Indigenous people, right? And so I've got stories that these people might have lived sort of further south, living in certain communities, and they said, "Yeah, okay, we're going to give you this land." And the whole Indian Act, it's called up here, was a joke. They have never fixed any of it, and they just
Mm.
keep it. Just everything's just, and there's been so much nonstop racial abuse for years and years. We had residential schools, which I think they were in the States as well. And residential schools was basically, we're going to take the Aboriginal out of the Aboriginal. So they took away these people's kids. They put them into schools run by the Catholic Church, and where they were beaten, molested, told to lose their culture. And then when they all end up going back home to their lands, they didn't have their language, they didn't have their culture. They kind of beat it all out of them. And these were around until the 80s, man. The 80s.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's
That's
like one of the biggest secrets that Canada tries to hide. And so we're going through a truth and reconciliation up here, where we're trying to find ways to get things right, because you build systemic racism into your culture, where these people just continually are beaten down, and then they have systemic problems, just like you see to a similar degree in the States, right?
yeah.
Where it's the same but not same. Do you know what I mean? It's
I
like
feel
if you
I feel you. It's that statement of um okay, so there's a line by Lil Wayne. I'm quoting him. Yes, I'm quoting Lil Wayne. It's
who
same
doesn't love
shit,
Little
different.
Wayne?
But same shit, different toilet. But then you go into a deeper thing and you say, but the food is different. It's kind of like that. The food is
Yeah,
different.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
true.
I get you. And
Yeah, so
it's crazy to me because it's it's the 80s. And don't get me wrong, here it's like things were fixing themselves come near around the end of the 60s. 70s, we were all about peace and all of this, but we were still dealing with crap. But one of the things that always seems to get me, and I have started to realize it more because it kind of baffled me when we used to talk about this, how that's not old. That's not something that didn't just happen yesterday. If your parent is the first, like if your parent, I believe it's my girlfriend's mother. She was like the first black woman to go to a public school with other people, and well, she wasn't the first, but when she went, that's when they started, basically allowing basically black people to go to school with other races. And it's crazy because that's a generation. That's a generation, one generation
yeah,
behind. And everyone wants you to, grab your bootstraps and get it on up and get with the program. But don't get me wrong. I'm a firm believer of kick your kid in the chest and be a badass. That's what you're supposed to do. But you can't sit there and not look at this thing as a whole and go, that did just happen. It's just, and that same
yep.
thing with the Inuits. The 80s, dude, that's not That's not any time. That's not any time. I love that you
Yeah,
guys have a truth and reconciliation period. I don't know what that will ever look like for us because in we're so
divided.
engrossed in pride, and so you have one side that's like all the bloodshed that happened in the Civil War that counts for every single thing that ever happened afterwards,
Yeah,
and
it,
it's just
it's funny you use the comment "pull up your bootstraps," right? Because
yeah.
it's like if you don't have the bootstraps to pull up, you can't fucking pull that bootstrap up. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you can't pull up a bootstrap you don't fucking have. So, it's like people gotta to give support where it's needed sometimes. And you know what? There's so much abundance in our planet, and we have people starving. Like, it's just em it's em that's the thing that embarrasses me, right? Like, I feel like sometimes when I go and buy a good cut of grouper when I go to Florida, I feel a little bit guilty because A, I can travel, and B, I can afford grouper. Right? Like it's it's sometimes not cool, but yeah, I
It was
mean,
a joke that someone made. It was about how we literally we piss in water, and there's a whole country. Well, I'm not saying I'll say a whole country because I'm not trying to. I'm generalizing, but there are people that don't even have water. We sit there
yeah,
and just we throw crap in water and then throw it
yeah,
away somewhere else. And these
it's
people
like,
don't have water.
yeah, I'm having an hour shower today. What do you feel like doing today? Well, I'm gonna wake up late, sleep in, but then I'm gonna have an hour shower. Like you think of how many people in perhaps even in Rwanda don't have an hour's worth of water for their whole town.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of crazy, man. It's crazy. So, we could talk about this forever, but let's talk about some music. Tell me about your music, man. I love your music, and
um,
I know you kinda gave a disclaimer that, haven't listened to some of my old music. It's my old music. I'm really interested in when you hear it, I'm interested for you to give me some feedback. It doesn't have to be, over the crazy wild web or on but let me know what you think. Because my passion for music in general is I like shit that is unique and original. I
yeah,
don't like my favorite bands that I listen to, and the band that you're gonna hear, it's one CD that we had performed years ago. Um, you won't. I don't think you're gonna hear a song that sounds like it's anything like the other song that you heard before it. And that was one of our biggest downfalls. Was that we tried to every time we'd write a song, I was like, I don't want this to sound anything like the sound that I heard before, right? So, like for example, one of my favorite bands is the Flaming Lips. Not sure if
okay.
you've heard them
I
or
have
have you heard
not.
any of the music. So if you hear a Flaming Lips song, you will say, "Okay, this is some fucked up shit." But they are doing experimental stuff all the time, and um, just they create new sounds, and that's what I know the things that you're doing, creating new sounds, making new beats, that kind of stuff is like, yeah, if I've heard that before, samples or whatever. Like if you can create something fresh and original and new, I'm interested. And it could doesn't
Yeah.
matter what genre it's in, man. Like I don't like genre music. I don't like I don't want to say this too loud, but I don't like country music. I know I don't know. Sing is not a word. It's just I don't like it. It's to me it all sounds the same, man. I just don't like it. But some people that's their jam, right? But so anyway, I kind of stole that a little bit. Talk about your music. Tell me more about what your favorite things to do when you're making your music.
So for starters, I want to say eh, after I listen, either A, I'll send you a long message because I'm real passionate when it comes to talking to music. There was one lady, a good friend of mine, Mari. We shared music. We literally at the end of the year, she shared a playlist. I shared a playlist, and then we went into long paragraphs talking about it. And I enjoy those kind of things. When I was younger, I always wanted to meet people
Mixtape.
that way. Yeah, like that's how I want to meet people. You didn't have to talk. They handed you their favorite songs and you guys exchanged those songs and that's how you got to know each other. I always wanted to do that. That's childhood for me. That's something that I always wanted to do. But I want to say a disclaimer. Disclaimer. I'm not supposed to be talking. This show is supposed to be more primarily talking to you, about you and with you.
What?
But it's a conversation. So it's a
It's
give and
us.
take. It's a give and take. You're right. It's yeah. How bad me. No, but but when it comes to music, what I wanted to do now, my new vision is I don't want to be a genre base. I didn't want to have a genre, but there is something that I wanted to capture. I wanted to capture adventure. So I then started saying whatever I made, I wanted to call it adventure music. My next instrumental album that I'm going to put out, because my some of my I guess fans per se, they want me to basically get back to just doing the rap part, and want me to drop some bars, as we say. And but I want to basically make this whole other genre and call it adventure music. That's what I want to do, which means you can do whatever you want with it. If you want to drop a country song in there, you can do it. It embodies you telling a story, and you see a story and a journey. But that's what it is. That's what I
That's so
that's my
sweet, man.
goal.
That's
And
sweet. I love that. That's you gotta do that, man, and you gotta pull influences from everywhere. Like just
yeah,
pull it from
the world,
everywhere.
man. Like
Yeah.
what's that? Sonic the Hedgehog was a big influence as a kid because he was always going to different worlds. That was like the
Yeah.
biggest thing.
Collecting
Everywhere he
rings.
went.
Who doesn't want rings?
Yeah, right? But what was it? It was there was one in particular, I think it was called Sonic Unleashed. And they literally they throw you a world map and you go everywhere from basically China, India, you go to Africa, you go like they called it whatever names they did, but every place you went, the world, the music matched the world. And for me, that's like I want my character to always be going to different places. That's how
That's
that's how I looked at it.
that's uh that's that's brilliant, man. That's it. But I'm looking up. I'm sorry, I'm looking away as I'm listening. I saw this movie last night, which we're going to be reviewing next week on our podcast. If you get a chance to see this, man, you've got to see it. It's called American Utopia.
American Utopia.
Yep. And it's directed by Spike Lee. And it's a documentary. It's a concert by David Byrne. So I'm sure you probably know who David Byrne is. I believe he's from Georgia, but
I
he
don't know
was
who
part of
David Byrne
it's
is.
part of the Talking Heads. And do just watch the YouTube clip of it because that's what he's doing now, man. He's doing obviously David Byrne style. I mean, you're gonna have Sane style, right? And you're gonna bring what you got. But that's what he's. I mean, he's an artist that's been around for years. So when he wants to work with somebody, they go, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna work with you," right? He has artists that he's working with that are from every country, man. It's such a cool. I don't want
That's
to
beautiful.
spoil it. I want you to see this movie, and I want you to tell me what you think about it because
So that
I
sounds
was
like we have a
crying.
revisit. That means
Yeah, man.
you got to revisit, and I have to tell you not only the David Byrne American Utopia. I got to tell you about your music. Like I want to share that with you, man. That'd be really dope. Like so I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, man.
while we were talking about it, there was I really wish I could remember the name. I need to remember the names and stuff, but there was an artist. One of the things that he would do is he would actually go and visit other countries, record people and different moments within it. Then he'll take all those sounds and sample it all together to make music from that journey. So it was like
Whoa.
everything from monks going and that was in the song. He would sample that, them doing the
Sweet.
little chimes and then like all of that. All of his journey, he took the drums, the sounds, the humming of people, goats, you name it, and he put it in a
Yeah.
track. And that's beautiful, man. I want to when I get 72, that's what my life needs to be. No.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing too is that like we say that, oh yeah, money's not important. My passion for my music is important, but for you to be able to go to those other places to get
You need
those
money.
people, you have to have the money to get there, right? It's not like you can say, okay, everybody, I'll meet you in the middle of the world, and we'll all meet there.
Well, so it's funny you say that because a friend of mine, Dom Shelton, he introduced me to the art of business, and that opened my mind, and it basically it allowed me to appreciate something I thought was nasty and tacky, and I just didn't. And I was in this weird space where I was like, if I create something, I must give it out free. I was real hippie-ish. I was a real big hippie until I was able to devour it as art, and now I understand the art of business a lot better. And yeah, if you one way to test to see if you well, in my bag, I'd say a man, or if you feel like you're strong or you have an ideal, you can make it become real, is to kind of just see if you can actually do it and get paid for it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with seeing if you can paint a wall red and someone pay you for it.
Yeah. No, it's people undervalue themselves, right? And people say, "Oh yeah, you can't be like the blues, right? Like you can't play the blues unless you've been starving and living on the street." I'm like, okay, well, that's a level of blues that I have never been
Yeah.
to, right? And it's really tough to live on the street here in Canada when it gets to minus fucking 40. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but but yeah, I mean, there's different levels of the blues, right? And everybody's got their own journey they're taking. So yeah, people undervalue who they are.
Yeah.
Right. And to say that, yeah, you know what I do has value. And it's tough if you're making something that you believe in so strongly and no one wants to pay you for it though. That's
Well, I will say, because it's funny because I'm doing that thing. I'm like, as I'm going through these podcasts, it's like those memories of talking to folks popping up now. Like it feels cool. I feel like I'm on that adventure or that little cheesy moment at the end of every Disney movie.
yeah.
My friends are my power, that crap. Anyway, but like there was one guy, Nick, he was telling me about how he likes to look at it like this: when there's no one around, when no one else exists, will you still do that thing that you do? That thing you're doing, will you still do it? Because don't get me wrong, I understand the money part of it, but then you want to see, are you really enjoying yourself? And that's why today I was talking to someone about how um like I don't read and write music. Like I
Yeah,
didn't
me neither.
learn that.
Yeah.
I was always a music by ear, it's just like, oh, cool, I got it down. But I want to learn that now because I started thinking about it. If the world is done and there's no one there and I don't have any tech, I want to be able to write this crap out, the music in my head, put it on a wall somewhere so the new people that come after the asteroid hits say, oh, the indigenous people now, they had the music with the little lines and the little circle, and oh, we found out that it's music and we now can make it, and now I can play them Kanye's 808s because I put it on the wall. But
It's cool though, right? Like I mean, I think growth comes in so many different ways and shapes too. Education, it's people say, "Ah, I got the like I'm self-taught too, right? I'm a self-taught musician. I was that way my whole life and I'm super super rusty cuz I haven't picked up an instrument in a long time. I know that if I did, I could get it back real quick, but I was always
yeah,
analog, man. Like I lived in the world of analog and pedals, right? And just making sounds with pedals. But you know, the evolution of trying to get your sound to evolve sometimes means you got to have more input or education to know something, like to know that if you're doing a seventh or a fifth in this part of the song and you think to yourself, well, you could try a bunch of weird shit, or you could listen to Sonic Youth as another band. Did you know anything from Sonic Youth?
I didn't. I'm just gonna keep writing them down though.
Yeah, man, it's these guys are, again, they're pretty fucked up people, but they make some pretty weird shit. And same with like someone like Frank Zappa, right? Like they make stuff that goes, people would listen to and go, this sounds weird, man. But the weirdness is like its own sound.
Yeah,
And so you can get that from education or you can get that from experimentation, right? Like
or yeah, experiencing it, because what you were saying earlier, the crazier part about, and not to switch subjects, I'm just gonna make a small tidbit.
It's just us, man.
Experience. Yeah, you're right. But I try to stay on track, keep talking, and not do the ADD thing. But I am, so now I am. Now I just did
Okay,
another
Rogan
tangent.
Jr. Okay, Rogan Jr.
But just experiencing something. There's always the beauty of learning from someone else's experiences, but then there's also that beauty in experiencing it. It's crazy because, well, we're dealing with virtual reality now. That's one way to do it, but there's something you can't get. Experiencing something is something that's just unreal. It's crazy that I'm just making something so big out of something so trivial or small or whatever, but it's just the realization of that. It's just, it's
Yep.
crazy to me.
Okay, let's do an experiment right here.
Okay.
Okay. Here's a perfectly good example. I'm gonna hug you, and you hug me, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna lean forward, and I'm gonna hug my computer, and you're hugging your computer. All right.
I'm
Now
hugging the
come back.
light.
There you go. See but there you go. Now, if we were together right now, and I could give you a hug after when we end the show, the generation that happens between us by us just touching and us feeling each other is something that this laptop, this device, you can't transcend that, man.
Yeah.
Being in that close proximity, it's like seeing a band that's so tight and so together, and they've been living together and eating craft dinner and scarios for like 6 or 9 solid months, just living in a trailer in a van down by the river, right? And just living with each other, answering each other's sentences. There's something different than proficient musicians going, hey, let's connect and create music together online. It's transcendent, man. Like being, like you and I, like I said, if we're in a bar right now, we'd have a couple beers, we'd probably have some chicken wings, maybe some grouper together somewhere,
dude.
it would feel different, right?
It would. There's so much beauty to the real life, and that's the crazy thing about it. That's why I kind of like to say this to people: start in the virtual and bring it to the physical, because it'd be cool to say, hey, I'm flying you out so we can do this at an actual studio. That would be great. That's what I want. I can't wait to that day. That's the day I can't wait for, where I can say, hey, Jim, hey, you want to come out? Let's do this thing. That'll be great. That'll be great. I can't wait for that day to come.
South by Southwest, buddy. We'll go to South by Southwest together first.
And
we'll do the festival, and then the next year we'll come back.
That sounds amazing. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It's funny. I've met, since we started our podcast, it's been, we started it 2019, the end of November. Mm-hmm. So we're going on a year and a half, I guess, coming up. And, I've made so many great people that we've got in part of our Twitter community. And, it's my goal that once we get out of COVID and I have time to travel, man, I'm just going to drive around, stop in the cities of the people I know, and just let's hook up. Let's do a podcast. Let's do what we do. Every person you gel with or you meet, it's a completely different interaction and relationship you have, right? Like you and I. Yeah. I've still got passion for music. I'm not playing it, but I still have the passion. I listen to music every day. I try and pick up new sounds and stuff all the time. My focus is so much on film now. But, I've got like the ladies from Taboos, right? I'm going to go to Wisconsin. We're going to eat some cheese and drink some beer. And, I'm going to drive down and see the guys from, Dad's on Dayquil down in Phoenix, and chill there and just tell some dad jokes and fart in their garage or whatever the fuck they're gonna do. And then I'll come down to Austin, wank wank, and I'll bring my bass and we can jam, and I'll
bring my guitar. I'll bring my guitar. So okay, you are dabbling in film, so I want to know, what all spectrums are you dabbling with film? Are you just, tell me. Tell me.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like you know, when I got into music and film when I was younger, it was with a lot of film students, and so we did a lot of film work back then. I'm not in film now, but I
Mhm.
work for a lot of film festivals, so I do a lot of previewing for film festivals. So my job now is more. I don't want it to sound like it's academic, but I watch a shit ton of movies, man, and so I have certain tastes that I like and certain things I don't like. So, if people who listen to our podcast and they go, okay, Bryce, my partner, his view is in a certain way, and we make fun of each other about what our
Mhm.
one of my favorite genres is ladies who kick ass and punch dicks. I love movies where ladies take revenge and fucking just go ape shit on
So I
somebody.
take it you were a fan of Sucker Punch.
Oh, this is gonna be funny, dude. This coming episode, I have to watch that. Someone dared me to see it, and I'm like, dude, I love that movie. So, whoever, because we have this thing where we dare each other to watch terrible movies, and somebody didn't like that movie, but that's like a treat for me. I'm like, this is gonna be a super mondo. Like, I'm all about that. That's me. But then, I also like art house films, and I like foreign films. Like, if you give me a Korean zombie film, I'll pick that
Mm.
over, or go to Japan and watch some, Takashi Miike gore fest, or go to Iceland or Finland and see some dramas. Like, I'm just my tastes are so varied. But
Yeah.
I have a list, like, it could be a mile long, of shit that pisses me off in movies. I don't normally like biopics. I don't normally like period pieces, like, with all the fruity Lulu stuff where they like, I'm drinking some tea today. Um, I don't like those kind of movies. I don't like the dialogue. I'm going to say this out loud, and no one has ever heard me say this, and I'm recording it with you now. I cannot stand Shakespeare. I just cannot stand Shakespeare. I don't understand the passion for dying languages. I just don't get it. Nobody speaks like Shakespeare. It's not like you're going to go to the pub in, Cockney in England somewhere, and people are going to be talking like in this language that no one can fucking understand. So, it's maybe highbrow, but that's not me. Like, I I can be highbrow with the best of them, but I do not like Shakespeare.
So it's funny because one of the films or types of films that I dislike, and everyone asks, they always say, "Why can't you watch this?" So any film that's about something that just happened pisses me off. Sully, I
Oh,
can't do it.
you
I
can't
can't
watch
do
that
it.
movie?
I'm not gonna. It just happened. Why would I
Yeah.
watch that shit?
You know what? I gotta agree with you on that one. I'm not a big fan of shit that just happened. It doesn't, if I can remember it, and I see a lot of I see a shit ton of documentaries too, and it's like, okay, I don't really love this documentary because it just came out in the news like 5 days ago, and now I'm watching a movie about it. It's like, it's still on the news, buddy. Like, you can't hide from it. I totally get that. That makes sense. Yeah, I have to be honest. I haven't seen Sully, and I have no desire
I
to
haven't
see
either. Haven't. Don't plan on seeing it. Even that
it.
or the movie about the pirates that attacked that's another one. The pirates that attacked that boat. It was some pirates that attacked the boat, and then the
Oh,
famous line in it was, "I'm the captain now." And it's just one of those things where
yes.
I'm going like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. It just happened. It just happened. Why would I want to see this?
It
Why?
sounds like you kind of don't like Tom Hanks a bit, because that sounds you're picking you're
Probably
picking Tom
because you
Hanks
know
movies.
what? He just went to Australia to shoot a movie. I hope it's not about Australia burning. Like if a movie comes out and it's called "The Burning Land," like "Land Down Burning" or something, and it's like
Sydney's
starring Tom
burning or
Hanks,
whatever.
and I'm just like, God dang it, he did it again. He did it again.
Oh my god, dude, that's the best. Yeah, of course it's gonna be that.
I'm not
Yeah, I gotta
surprised.
think of, like, what literally happened. Like, probably. Oh, yeah. How about the movie COVID? That's coming out.
Oh man, starring Tom Hanks. Oh, he's like one of the people in it. Tom Hanks is the coast. I'm trying to who would you cast as the lead in that? Who the hell gets the lead in COVID? No, no, they
Other than
wouldn't
Tom
call it.
Hanks?
They wouldn't call it COVID. They would call it 19. It'd be like it'll be 19, and it'll start blinking red and white through the middle of it. It'll be like, "Ah." Someone would
Uh,
drop that whack ass bass that they were overusing. Then zoom. There
yeah,
you
I
go.
know who I want
Exactly.
to see in it. I want to see Charlize Theron and Wesley Snipes. That's who I want to see, the two of them. And I want it to
I
be
would
like,
love to
it's like
see that.
I want it to be like Wesley Snipes is killing with his like giant sword, like in Blade, just killing all
Ah.
the COVID. Oh, sorry, all the 19.
So wait. Are they getting old school magic school bus and they're like going inside somebody else's body and then they're killing the COVID? It's like this is patient zero. If we stop it in patient zero, no, it's moved on to 19 of them. We have to go in more. Like that's like if that's what's going on. Like okay, I'm with it. I'm with
Is
it.
that
Wesley Snipes get his new bad sci-fi movie. I'm down.
we? I am there. Let's make this movie.
I want to make the score, man.
Yeah, I want you to. I want to hear you make that score. Well, Wesley's probably taking calls these days. He's not doing a lot.
He's coming back, man. I saw that he's playing in Coming to America or Coming to America too, and it looks like he's having
Oh,
a good ass time in that though. He
well,
looks like he's
I'm
having a
glad.
good ass time.
I'm glad he's working, but that's the one. I know I'm going to have to see that, but I am not looking forward to seeing that movie.
It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a
Uh,
lot of fun.
okay, so here's another one of my pet peeves. I'm going to leave this one with you.
Oh,
When you have one actor playing any other more than just one actor's role,
yeah.
it's like we watched crap. What's that? Norbit. Oh my god, that was like
Yeah.
one of the most painful movies that's ever been created. And it's like, can Eddie Murphy be in another character in this movie? Is like, oh man, that was just no. I
So
know I'm
I
gonna see
take it
it.
you're not a fan of the clumps.
No, I am not a fan of the clubs. Not at all, man. That's like because he played like what 72 people in the clubs.
Yeah,
Like,
he played everybody almost just about. He did.
uh,
He didn't play the love interest, and I think the nephew.
maybe he did. I don't know. Like it's just like, but no, like see, I can see Eddie Murphy doing Call Me Dolomite. That was if you see, oh man, he
I
was
haven't
brilliant.
seen Dolomite yet.
He should have been nominated for an Oscar. Man, he was fantastic. Yeah, he was great. Or my favorite Eddie Murphy movie of all time is Bowfinger. I think that movie. It
That's a great
is
movie.
it is fucking incredible. He is brilliant in that movie. Brilliant. Eddie Murphy in your heyday, buddy. Yep, no, not looking forward to him playing 72 different roles. And then adding Arsenio Hall in there. Woot woot.
It looks like it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited for it. What else is there? Like are you? Because I know you get asked a bunch of movies. So let's see. Do you go out and watch new movies when they come out, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, the main part of what we do when when theaters are open, like right now, I don't know about in Texas, but in certain parts of Canada, and pretty much all parts of Canada, the movie theaters are closed, man. They've been closed for like 6 months. So
Yeah.
our big thing is we're all big cinephiles. So we want to see movies in theaters. And so what we would do is, our podcast drops on Wednesdays. Fridays would be our big at the theater night. Whatever came out that weekend, we try and squeeze 3 in if we could.
Oh man.
And then we would do streaming, like either what's new on Netflix or what new came out on Prime or Tubi or VOD. But now obviously there's nothing in theaters, so we're just we're having to pay like, what did I pay? I watched Promising Young Women last week. I spent like, I think $25 to see the movie. I'm just like, ouch, that hurts. But yeah, that's our goal. We want to, everything we bring is new, other than our one segment where we do the Rage or Dare, which is
Yeah.
we're dared by our listeners to see movies that they think are terrible, or we dare each other to see a terrible movie that we hate, right? So that's why we're watching vintage stuff. That's why I'm going to be watching Sucker Punch this week.
Okay. Well, all that to say, then have you taken the time out to see? Was that there's Judas and the what's his name? Judas and the Black Messiah just came out.
Yeah,
Um, there's
I haven't
also
seen it.
Malcolm Marie. There's
Yep,
also
yep. We reviewed that a
so
couple weeks ago. Yep.
so how okay, so I fell asleep, but it doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy the movie. Um,
In which
I
one?
just
In which
well,
one? Malcolm and Marie?
Malcolm and Marie, like I
Yeah.
really did enjoy what was taking place. I mean, dude, some of the hours I push doing crap, I just fall asleep wherever I'm at nowadays. I'm getting old, but well, what was you guys' take on it? Or this is your perfect time to tell me just to go listen to the episode. Like that's also a thing you can do.
I'm not gonna force you to do something. You know you know where
Well,
I'm at. You go pick it up. And actually, people should check out our website because on our website, dude, everything that we watch, we review
mhm,
on there, and it's got a link to our episode through Apple Podcasts, as well as, there's a lot of stuff on there. We've got a lot of candid pics and video clips and stuff of us on there. It's like a pretty robust website that we've created. So yeah, and you can go in and search, have you seen this movie, and then you can see what we rated it. So
oh,
uh
sweet, sweet.
yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Malcolm and Marie. I thought visually it was pretty cool, but I didn't love the movie. It was a little dry, like you said. You fell you fell asleep. So
I
that's
fell asleep
usually a
because I was
sign.
tired.
Yeah, okay, well, go back and watch it. You might still fall asleep because there's a lot of repetitiveness in it. But not to say the actors were stellar. Like, both of them did a fantastic job. That's nothing to complain about. But the movie itself, I didn't like. I didn't really like watching people argue for an hour and a
Yeah,
half. It
that
got a
was
bit repetitive. And I don't necessarily like black and white just if I don't think it needed it, because I needed
yeah.
to know if he was having Katie classic orange or if he was having white cheddar. Like like that, well, you've seen the craft dinner scene, right? You've
Yeah,
seen the mac
I
and
have
cheese,
seen it.
right?
I
Right?
feel
That's an
that. I
intense
feel that.
and it's like, okay, if this was in black and white, I'd know exactly what kind of craft dinner or mac and cheese he was having. That was if you go listen to our episode, that's my biggest complaint.
With that, because it's crazy. Because I understand where you come from. There are things in movies that just turn it all the way off for me. And there's this movie called Underwater with
Yep.
So the movie could have been great. Movie could have been great. There's a last scene. That last scene where she's sitting and she's peering into the abyss of the ocean. If she would have just kept quiet and just let it just be, it would have been like probably one of the greatest movies for me. Probably.
Yep.
But when
Yep.
she started talking and started saying cheesy lines and stuff, it just ruined that whole thing for me, man.
Yeah.
It just
It's so
ruined
true.
all of it.
It's so true. It's funny. Even with us, we see so many movies. I'm not saying that I'm like the god of movies, right? Like, I have tastes, but it's comedies is one of those things too, right? Like you can see a movie and you're in a certain mood and you click to the comedy and it's like, okay, this is funny to me. It could be the stupidest movie. And that's usually the humor that I like the most. I'm not a big
Mhm.
fan of comedies at the best of time, but because I find when people try too hard to be funny, that it's not often funny. It's when they're
Yeah.
not trying to be funny that it becomes more funny, I find. So, but yeah, it's one of the things, like, we may have fights about, what we think of a movie, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's like that expression, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, your dick's not big enough." So, who are you gonna please with that? And we'll say, "Well, I'm pleasing myself right now, so that's okay."
Yeah, there you go.
Right? It's that thing is, like, the awards come out, I'm like, I could care fucking less about the Academy Awards or the People's Choice or whatever. If I think this movie deserves to win, that's my award. I'm awarding
Yeah.
this the best of last
Yeah.
year, right?
I feel that. I feel that 100%. Um, then in that case, that brings me to my next topic.
Dun, dun,
Best
dun.
movie ever. No, okay, so yeah, what's your best? what is your best movie? Like, if you had to tell someone to go sit down immediately, the movie that they had to watch just right off the bat, what would it be?
Yeah, because there's a okay. So this is a different question. You, why are you asking me this question? So
Because I'm a
so
dick.
okay. I love it. I love it, man. I love it. So okay, so there's my absolute favorite movie that identifies me. So people who
Okay.
really know me, they all know what my favorite movie is because I literally talk about it nonstop. But that's not the movie I would say that everybody needs to see. There's a difference because I know that people are not going to like my favorite movie because it's not for everybody. I am a huge, my favorite genre of movies is zombie films.
Okay.
And of
Okay.
course, it's a subgenre film movies of horror, right? So I love
Yep.
horror films. Horror is a genre that I really love, and zombies is my favorite genre within the horror field. And my favorite movie for me of all time is Dawn of the Dead, the original, because I
Okay.
grew up on that film. And like I've probably seen it over 1,000 times. Like it was one of those things, when I was in high school and I was skipping class and just eating KD and popcorn and smoking weed. It was like I would just sit down and chill to that movie.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to say what do I think is the best movie that I think everybody could possibly relate to, it's a movie called Amelie.
Never heard of it.
It's a French film and it's quirky and weird, but it's got so much heart. So much heart. It's a beautiful film. It's a foreign film, so I'm a huge believer in watching film from all countries. I don't watch dubbed films. I always watch the subtitles because I
Yeah.
can read, and why wouldn't I want to hear the voices the way they were meant to be? So
Exactly.
if anybody who's listening who hasn't seen the movie Amelie, I would say that is a film that every single person on the planet should see once they reach a certain age, because there is some scenes in it that you probably 5-year-olds shouldn't watch, but because there's like actual penetration in a couple scenes, but
Mm.
otherwise it's and I always joke about this on our podcast too. If you're wanting to see just random nude pictures, just pick up a French movie. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be probably like a cartoon. There'll be like somebody naked in it. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It's like the
It's
French
the
just love
French.
nudity. It's like
The
they
French
love
love
nudity.
nudity and running outside
Yeah.
with their baguettes in the air.
There's sweet, sweet baguette just waving in the air. Yeah, I would say Amelie is up. Yeah, that's more not specific genre. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so it's funny that you say that because foreign films are. Whew. So there's a lot of beauty in foreign films. There's one gentleman in the community. He has a cast on our variety stream. What's his name? I know his name. I know his name. Dr. Green. Dr. Green. God. Okay. And
Hey, you
he's
got one.
always he's always, turning us on to foreign films. I forgot what it's called, man. I really wish I had this name, but there's a foreign film. I want to say it's French, but I don't think it's French. But it starts off, there's a lady. She's running her own little shop. She meets some random strangers. They go to a club. They end up like robbing a bank or something. And or if it's not a bank, they rob something. And it's the beauty of this movie. It's all shot in one take. It's all
Oh,
shot in one take. And
that's
it's just like,
brilliant.
it's just they do so much. They do everything. Like, it's crazy because it's all shot in one take. When you
Yeah.
go out your way to do something that marvelous, how can you not sit there and appreciate something like that? Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just
The visuals, right? It's like 1918. Did you see that yet?
I haven't seen 1918. That sounds like COVID-19 ripoff. Wait.
It's
1918, 1918.
it's before 19. It's 18. Oh, sorry. It's 1918. But yeah, it wasn't actually in one shot, but it looks like it was all in one shot. Like the cinematographer did such a good job. It looks like the
Mm.
entire movie was done in
Oh,
one shot.
I was waiting for that
Hey,
to happen.
it's
It happened one
happening.
day.
It's happening. Oh no, we can see behind you. The veil.
The
veil
mirror
is,
is not. What's that? The shroud or what do they call that?
don't
The
look
curtain's
behind
been
the
dropped.
curtain. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there you
right.
go. Oh, everyone, this is my closet. I live in a closet nowadays. This is all I got.
Well,
COVID hit really hard.
when you come out of the closet, make sure you tell us all.
I got to. It's the trend. When I want to sell my album, that's what I'm gonna do. That's gonna be like the major marketing
Okay,
right there. That's
okay.
how Tyler did it.
He's like, I'm out of the closet.
And the
Here it
album
is.
sales is gonna be everywhere, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's how you.
Hey, whatever it takes, sell it.
uh,
But one of my favorite expressions that I like to use, and I don't hear a lot of people say it, is, and I'm not saying that I own this expression, and
mhm.
I usually will start I'm now putting it in my post, is you be you. Just you, the letter, be the letter, and you.
Yeah. Ubu.
Ubu. Yeah, it's Ubu. But yeah, like so many people, you know, kind of going a little bit full circle, but we live in the societies that we can be whoever we want to be, right? Like,
Yeah.
people have rights, and they should fight for those rights and keep them. And as long as what you're doing isn't hurting other people, or it's not hate speech, or it's not, if you want to be into S&M, or if you're transgender, or you're somewhere on the spectrum of whatever, just be you, man. Like,
Yeah.
people need to accept whoever you are. Like, especially with the things that people are now coming to grips, and COVID is really showing a light, is mental illness, right? It's been such a huge barrier for a lot of people that they're suffering with mental illness, right? And they didn't ask for it, just like I didn't ask to have a limp, right? It's me. I'm who I
It's
am.
the cards we get, man.
Yeah, it's who you are. Like, everybody should be proud of who they are, no matter what that flavor is. It's because everybody's delicious. There you go.
Yeah. Actually, there's a beautiful line from a show called Adventure Time, and I always say it because it's a beautiful line. People get built differently. Respect it. They didn't ask you to do anything. Just respect it. That's just
Yeah,
what it
man,
is.
that's at least it wasn't a Rick and Morty quote, right? Because that's something completely different.
Rick and Morty said it's okay to just be a shit and okay.
I'm a pickle, Morty. I'm a pickle, Morty.
Wait, so I know you watch film, but do you also take part in the good old series of life?
You mean like as in, do I watch TV shows as opposed to movies?
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to say that. I normally I screw up talking most of the time. That's probably the original reason why I did podcasting, because I wanted to talk with more structure. But as you see, I just took my own self and just became myself even more.
You know what? I get made fun of all the time because I'm always using words. So I just make up shit. If I don't know a word, I make it up. This is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I knew exactly what you were saying. You didn't have to have the right word. It's okay. I got it.
That's how I know we're cool. If you understand me when I'm speaking gibberish, that means we must be really good.
When you're speaking sane.
Yeah.
Okay, I speak Jim all the time, buddy. Yeah, because right now I'm in festival season for previewing, so I should be watching a shit ton more films for the festival I'm watching. So it's like I try not to watch too many, but I'll go on binges where it's like, okay, I'm addicted to this show, or I'm addicted to that show. Like, I have a lot of when you work in the arts community, or you're involved with the arts community, you get to meet all kinds of people from all
Yeah.
different cultures, all different walks of life. I have a lot of friends that are gay, or in the LGBTQ community, and so I've become just from going to enough drag shows, I'm a huge fan of RuPaul's Drag Race. It sounds crazy, and some of my buddies make fun of me, but I'm like, some of the things these guys do is like, holy cow, man! Like, they'll make an entire outfit that the queen could wear, in like a day with a sewing
Yeah.
machine. I'm like, what the hell is like? It's just something. Those secret things that some people. I'm not afraid to tell anybody anything. You ask me anything, I'll tell you. And that's one of my favorite shows right now. And they've got double whammy because they got UK and the original on at the same time. So,
Well, no.
but yeah, but I also watch like I'm trying to think of what series I've been watching, like Utopia on Prime. I'll watch some of that. I just watched The Sinner on Netflix. Have you ever seen any of The Sinner? It's
I haven't seen
weird
The
stuff,
Sinner
man.
or Utopia.
It's weird shit, man. Like The Sinner is like it's almost hard to watch. It's Bill Pullman's the main actor in it. He's like so weird. He's walking around all like there's 3 seasons and every season is a different crime that he kind of has to solve. And yeah, it's I think probably the first season was the best, but this last one is kind of like holy fuck, it's just weird. But I like it. It's like I'm addicted to weird. I like anything weird. It's like, oh yeah, I'm curious about what's that going on over there.
Yeah.
I like
I pull
weird.
out a mirror and just go.
I'm just gonna watch myself. It's James Brown there.
That's so. I too am a fan of weird. I don't know. It's something about finding the things that people wanted to basically extend the horizon. I'm a big fan of that. I like that. That's what I want to do. I'm always a big fan of someone that wants to push the flavor to a new one because we need that. We need that. That's where you get the inspiration from. That's what
Yeah.
all of this turns into. Like, I don't know. We talk about it all the time. There's like a lot of rinse and repeat and the copy and paste going on, but the pioneers have to keep driving it forward. They have to because it basically just turns into it gives more for the other people to copy and paste. But
Yeah.
we're pushing the envelope, man. That's what we do. That's
Yeah.
what we do.
And it's funny because with music or be it with art or be it with film, like
Or
for me,
podcast.
or podcasts, yeah, like what we do on our podcast, like there's a lot of movie review podcasts. I don't want to say there's a lot of my friends in the movie podcast world. But I think what we're doing is more unique than what a lot of people do. We try and cram as much content in one episode to give people that if they like our taste in movies, that they go, yeah, okay, I want to see that because I know Jim and Bryce both liked it. Or, I like Jim's taste, so I'm going to go see this because he liked it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to be in front of what is happening so that people go, okay, they reviewed this. It just came out. Right? It's like when that album came out and you could go to the record store and you'd be like when I was a kid, I used to go in the record store and I go, okay, what came out today? And then I used to buy music based on how fucked up the album cover was. I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I got to buy it because this is some weird shit. And then you get it home and it was even weirder shit. But it was cool, right? It's and you think of music in the same way. Like it's just if it's the same thing over and over, it's like why am I buying a new album? It's like when they put a sequel out or they do a remake of a movie that's already been made.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
Yeah.
there was a stat, we looked it up once on the podcast because I was going on a rage about fucking unoriginal material coming out. And they there's like probably 1 million books that are written every year. Think about that. 1 million.
That's so. What happens with that? What basically starts generating in my head? It takes me back to a comic. It takes me back to Marvel Comics, and it's a thing where it always boggles me because I write stories. I've drawn comics. I draw, I have storylines. I make all these things, and one of the things that starts happening is I make these storylines, and every now and then you'll come across one of those 1 million books, and then you'll realize and you'll find out that some of us are telling either the same stories, or we've already told the same story, or we're being introduced to it through a different lens. And one of the things that was crazy to me was because there was a story I was working on, and Marvel Comics already created it. This whole Thanos situation that just came out for everyone on the big screen. A lot of people don't know this happened back in the 80s already. Like this already happened. This isn't new. And what's crazy about that, those million stories, it's just it turns into, I don't know what lens you wanted to point it in, but what lens it turns into me for, it reminds me that that's what we are. That's what we are. We're all just telling these stories. It comes from being a social species. That's how we carry things over. That's how we learn lessons. These parables. And one of the other beautiful things too is if you can mix a good story with a good song and teach a lesson in it. That's how people get it. That's how people hold it. If you
Yeah.
just tell them out regularly, they're just gonna look at you and go, "Okay, that's cool." But if you can actually put it in a song and a story and all that good stuff,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it's
man.
a
It's funny. Like one of the things that I do. This is not dissing my partner Bryce at all. But when I
sure.
see a
I've heard
movie,
this is the Bryce all night now.
yeah, maybe I am. No, I love that man. He's one of the sweetest persons on the planet who likes to rage with me, so it's all good. But uh, when I go see a movie, I'm looking at it through a lens of the entire experience. I know he does this too, but music and sound to me, like you'll hear me when I do a review, I'm going, this sound is incredible. Like I could love a movie because of the sound, or I could love the movie because of the music, original score that's been put
Yeah.
into it. And it can change the dynamic of a movie. And then you'll hear me say shit like, okay, this movie was good, but this music was shit, and it fucking ruined the movie.
Yeah.
Like they got to have the feel, and one of my favorite directors, William Friedkin, who directed The Exorcist. There's a documentary right now on Shutter by him that it's basically the journey of him making The Exorcist. Like in my opinion, it's almost a perfect movie. And the what he did with the music to get it, like all these, he actually hired, like he must have blown the budget, but they hired here's like the best um orchestra on the planet. You go work with him and create the score. The guy completely created the score for The Exorcist, and he listened to it. He's like, nah, I don't like it. He flew over to Africa and listened to some monks chanting or something. He says, I want some of that shit in my movie. And I want that to be here. And he had it like compartmentalized. I want this here, that there, this there. So when you watch The Exorcist and you hear the music and it's going, this shit is fucking scary and it's crazy, right? Like that's to me, like when you got a director who thinks in that concept. Another one that just happened recently, you may or may not like it. It's Gretel and Hansel. It just came out.
Okay. So I hated that movie. No, okay. Did I hate that movie? Here's what happened. I didn't
But the
really care to
score
see
was
that movie.
great, man. The score
I
was
gotta watch it
brilliant.
again. I
Don't even
I
watch the
went.
movie. Just put the music on.
I'll do that. I'll do that because I I don't even remember consuming that movie. I literally went to the theater. This is the last movie I saw in theaters. That's the last movie I saw in the damn theater. And what I did was they had like a sale on, I forgot what the alcohol was, but I got like 2 or 3 of them. I sat there and drank it all and then just fell asleep in the middle of the movie. It got to the end and they were like eating something.
And you're like, what am I watching? That's actually one of my favorite movies of that year, man. I love that movie and I love the score.
What?
The score is brilliant. It's so
Okay,
good,
I'll write
man.
that down.
The score is good. And when you go to look who did the music, I won't tell you, but go look into it. I don't want to say his name, but it's kind of funny what his name is. So I'm just gonna it's kind of
I
like
I think
it's
I
Madonna.
remember. Because
It's
there's a
Madonna.
faint. It's not Madonna,
It's
is it?
no, it's not
Okay,
Madonna.
okay.
But it's just like
Well,
it's one word. It's like music by blah, and you're like, what?
I kind of that's like it's a faint memory because what happened for me with Gretel and Hansel, I put it in this. There's a movie category that for me it's like these are suck movies. These are I don't. Nope, that movie does not rock my boat. It just says I'm here to put a hole in it. Did you ever watch The Witch?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay, so what was your take on The Witch? Since you like cousins of horror, the subgenre, zombie films. Therefore, how was your take on The Witch? I need to know how you felt about The
Yeah.
Witch.
Yeah. So that particular director is not my favorite director,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people are given buzz, like even Hereditary. I did not like Hereditary. I did not love The Witch. I didn't hate it, but I did not love it the way that other people were watching it. It didn't build the atmosphere that I was hoping. See, I thought Gretel and Hansel built more atmosphere. That that
They did.
movie that movie, I don't think I felt the atmosphere that it should have. So I did not love The Witch, but I like that. So here's the thing: this is almost like a new genre. This new genre of films that are coming out, like Hereditary and Midsommar, and things like that. I'm not saying I love it. I kind of want them to continue to experiment, but
Yeah.
I don't think they got it. I don't think they got it right yet. That's my opinion. Why? What'd you think?
One thing. Also, for The Witch, in particular, I thought it was definitely like it rubbed me the wrong way. It rubbed me the wrong way mainly because I wanted it to be great. It was one of those things where I got what they were doing. It's like
Yep.
the oddness and offness of it kind of made me want to like it, but at the
Yep.
same time, it's like something was missing. I don't know exactly. It's
How about the
okay.
horror?
Perfect.
The horror was missing in a horror movie. I wasn't really scared.
The horror was missing, and then the people that were still doing horror were trying to put jokes in it like it was a Marvel film. That's a whole other subject. Um, but the horror was missing, and that's what it's like. The new kids that are doing music today, they all think that they should just get around and just go talk in a whisper voice. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a cool style. Billie Eilish, if you ever come across this, I like
Yeah.
some of what you do. I like some of the
Yep.
stuff what you do. But I have an old guy that is at my job. He's like 70 something. He always goes, people don't sing out anymore. Everyone wants to just kind of be like, oh, I don't want to do this. And this whole long tangent to basically say The Witch kind of felt like it didn't want to do it. That's what it felt
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
And that's
man. That's a great analogy between tying it to the music, right? It's like Billie Eilish is whispering like this. You know who doesn't whisper is Lord. I freaking
yeah,
love her. I
she
freaking love
doesn't.
her.
She actually, what is that? God dang it. I don't remember names. Like I know her. There's a song that she had, and that intensity, the way that she moves it up, and don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like Billie
Yeah.
Eilish does that too. She has parts where
Yeah.
she
Oh,
does
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and I'm
And
not saying like I'm gonna justify it. I'm just
yeah,
clarifying that. Yeah. Why am I justifying like I give a shit? Anyway.
you shouldn't. Stop it now. I've already hit you've already slapped yourself once or twice already.
I need to behave.
Oh, behave.
But it's definitely a fleeting thought now because I don't remember where I was going with it.
You know what? It doesn't matter. We both love Lord. That's all that really matters. And
That's
we
what
like
matters.
some songs by Billie Eilish. It's okay,
um,
but not all of them, because not all of them are great.
exactly. So one in particular person that's making scores right now. Okay, so actually before I do that, I got to shout out to John Williams. John Williams. Am I saying his name correctly? Guy who made Star Wars theme. Guy who made
Yeah.
So I don't
Yep.
know what the hell he was drinking, but all of his songs are just they're so potent that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like it's just
And
there's
it's
something
him.
magical. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it.
he's like, "Oh, yeah, that's him." Yeah.
There's something magical about all his scores. Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun,
It
the
hooks
Harry
in your
Potter
head.
series. It gets there. I love that. I
Yeah.
love
Or
that.
Jaws, right? How about just
Yeah.
Jaws, right? It's the most
Dun,
basic. Dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun, dun. It's good
yeah.
stuff. It's good stuff. But another person that I'm really enjoying nowadays is, I don't want to screw his name up.
What's
Okay,
is
so the
it?
man,
Is it from a movie that you remember?
he's done movies, he's done shows. He's also done the music for Childish Gambino's albums and his works.
Oh, okay,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
what is his name? Like, I think it's like code name is Ludwig. Um,
Mm.
but so there's a TV show called Community, which is beautifully
Yeah.
written.
Oh, yeah, I
On
love it. I love that show. It's
Dan
fantastic.
Harmon is beautiful with the pen. Those first two seasons were grand. They were
Oh,
grand,
yeah.
and
Totes, that's for
the
sure.
music. The guy that did the music, he carried on with Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, worked
Yep,
on projects with him, and
yep,
now he also did what is that Creed. Creed. The first Creed is what I like to call a very magical movie for me. Like it did it for me. The music captured those scenes, all of
yep,
that, and
yep,
just that producer, no, not producer, the composer. He's doing the Mandalorian. He, I don't know. There's something about the music he makes. It captures that adventure, and that's it. Takes it back to, like I was saying, that's like that energy, that thing that puts you on your, it gets you going, it puts you on your adventure. You might call them OSTs. I want to
yep.
do that. That's what I want to do. That's I want to do scores for movies, man. Well, I don't know how
Yeah,
to turn it to that, but that's where I want all this to do. Movies and
that's good.
games. I
And
I
and
love it.
and and think about it, right? Like, if you can be like, if people can hear your music and go, "Oh, man, that's sane stuff, man," like that, I know who that is. Like, it's you can pick it out, right? It's like, look, there
Yeah,
you have a sound just like, artists have sound that you can go, "Oh, yeah, that's a unique voice," like Johnny Cash, you know his voice, right? Like,
yeah.
James Brown, "Hey," right? Like, you know who it is. And, if you can find that and you've got that in you. Some of the music I've heard of yours is like, yeah, this could be a really cool score. Like, this could fit in, and it's music that brings atmosphere and ambiance. You
Mm.
got that. You got that.
Well, I appreciate that because hey, I just dabble and honestly, I just do what feels good to me and just hey, push that put out button nowadays.
Well, yeah, imagine if you get hooked in though, right? You get connected to the right people and they go, "Yeah, yeah." I mean, to be to write music as a score too is tough, man, because they go like, "I need exactly
Yeah.
4 minutes and 27 seconds in this spot. Go." Right?
But
Like,
so
that's tough stuff.
the crazy part with all of that is because when I sit there and build scenes for just anything I'm making, like there was something I was playing around with, and it was like I want to make raindrops, and I would shorten the notes, and I make the raindrops with that. Then I also wanted to bring in a tide, so that meant that at a certain point, the bass had to come in at a certain period, so I could feel that way about it, and just that rooming of it. Then having to pattern off to the left because it's coming this way or that way. All of that matters, all of that matters. And that's the crazy part when it comes to that. I want to be that passionate about it. No, it's not even I want to. I am that passionate about it. And it's just storytelling without words. It's just being in the music. That's beautiful. That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's, music, man, it's like you got a moment in time too. Like, it's how they say, like, there's obviously the different sense or the different senses, right? Like your hearing, your sight, your smell. People have the sixth sense, like I see dead people. But certain things, it's like I can be in a mood, and then a song comes on that is from my past that was a joyful event, right? And there's an album that is it's got to be in my top 10 favorite albums of all times. It's the band is called Talk Talk, and the album is called The Colors of Spring.
Hmm.
And when I hear it, doesn't matter, like, if it just comes on and I hear it, it's like it just fills my whole body with joy. Like, I could just, like, it's like almost like an injection of, like, okay, I'm depressed, I want to kill myself. I don't, but I'm so sad, I want to kill myself, and then put that album on, and I'm just like, okay, okay. And then there's memories of, like, when I want to be depressed, like, there's that feeling of like,
Yeah.
I want to feel sad because I want to cry and I want to just be vulnerable to the world. And I'll put on David Bowie's Hunky Dory. And it's like I'm there. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's a moment that happened in my life. And it's like I was sad when that album hit me. And then if I listen to it now, I still go back there, but it's still a moment of joy, like sadness.
Yeah.
And, I love extremes, and I have a feeling you do too, right? It's like
Yeah, I
I
do.
want to
I do.
feel, I want to feel passion, be it anger, be it rage, be it love, be it joy, be it sadness. I don't like to feel like, how you feeling today? I feel medium. I feel medium. We have an
If I'm gonna
expression
feel
on
something, I want to feel something. There you go.
Yeah, I wanna feel I either wanna be like that's when I get a movie that's meh, like we have 3 ratings on our podcast. We have Mondo, we have meh, and we have rage. And I wanna be at one of those spectrums. I wanna be so angry at a movie because I hate it, or I wanna love it. And if it's in that meh category, I can still say, I like this movie, but, I liked it,
Yeah,
right? It's kinda like, yeah, I like that song.
it's cool.
If I never hear it again, am I gonna be sad? No, I won't be,
Exactly.
right? So, okay, what's your favorite song? Like, if you could only pick one song, what would it be?
You
You
asshole.
got it, just one. Just hey, that's me. I'm just returning the favor, baby.
I know, right? I know, right? Oh man, that is. If I had to pick one song,
Like that you could just like how there's songs that you go, okay, I'm tired of that song. No, I don't want to hear it. But it's like if this song came on, it doesn't matter. You're gonna want it. Like if you hear it on the radio, you hear a car driving by, you'll follow that car, right? Maybe not with your hood up, but like follow that car. But you know what I mean? Like
I
you
know.
want to hear that song.
So I'm trying to pick one because there's a lot of beautiful songs out there, and this
Yeah.
would be my opportunity to go. Oh, I'm gonna plug my own song, but no, that's not actually what I want to do here. Um, um, honestly,
Is it Careless Whisper by Wham?
Actually, it is. No, no. It's this horrible song called Delta Dawn. No,
What's that flower you have on?
I hate that song. It's the worst damn song that ever existed. There goes your question for that one.
Now just reverse it. And what's your favorite?
Right. Okay, so
What's the opposite of Delta Dawn?
the opposite of Delta Dawn is a mix between.
That doesn't sound like one song. You've got to pick
Okay,
one.
okay.
I'm not
It's like
saying that every song. Okay, keep in mind that
there's so many.
there's so many songs, and you know what? How about I go first, and then
Okay,
you can think
okay,
on it.
okay.
Okay. So, being as how I grew up in a musical family, and I've been in music my whole life, and I have a passion for it, and blah 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 blah. There's a song from a band in Canada called Big Wreck, and they have and it's called That Song. And in my opinion, it is a perfect song. I never tired of hearing it. I could listen. It comes on the radio. I turn it up, and I could listen to it every day, and it would never tire of it. It's so hooky and rocky that I just love it. I have so many favorite artists. Like I could list 700 artists that I love, but there's only one song that I go, yeah, that song is me in song form, and I love
Okay,
it.
I know because I remember when there was a time. Oh, what's that? Oh, okay. There is a song. God dang it, I hate this. And just okay, so all this time it switched from okay, I got 2 songs. No, now I got 3 songs. No, now it's 4. Okay, now I got 1. Now it's 2. Okay, okay. So, dang it, can I please have 2? Just give me 2. Just give me 2. Just 2. Just 2.
You can have 1.5.
It's perfect. It's perfect because the other song is like only like 30 seconds long.
Okay, then you can have a 30-second song then.
Thank
It's a
you.
half.
Thank you. So, first song, Paranoid by Kanye West. I had that on repeat for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks straight because it was just there was something about it. Baby, don't worry about it. Like all of that just it's Paranoid. Paranoid has to be one of my favorite songs that I can listen to nonstop. The other one
is it you? Is it you? Not obviously the word paranoid, but is it you? Like, is that song? It speaks to you as a person.
There's something about the just the way the song's made, all of the energies there, all of the making of the song, the composure, just and then not to mention, I think there was something about that time period that either it was a time period that I was listening to it and embodied something I was going through. It's like it's a timepiece for me actually, but then it's also that adventure. That song is an embodiment of adventure music. In the back in the day, Kanye music made adventure music before I just coined it. But but Paranoid is that song, and then the other one is a song called Earn by Childish Gambino, and that's it. What happens with that is because I listen to that song too, and that one, that's the 30. I think it's like either 30 seconds or it's a very short song. That's all I remember. It's a very short song, and I listened to that song probably. I think my iPod will probably tell you maybe 1,000 times. Like it's crazy how many times I've listened to that song, and it's just something about it. It makes me sink to the bottom of the sea. It makes me go back to that island that I got trapped in Cozumel mentally for like a long ass time in my head, and I just stayed there and I just got lost in that song, and it's just I don't know what it was. It just made me feel. I don't know. It made me just go to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's good. That's perfect. Okay, so here's a question: if you played them over top of each other, would they fit together? Now you're gonna want to try this, aren't you? You're gonna get your mixer and you're gonna try. Well, you know, it could be perfect tempo at half tempo, 1/3 tempo, 1/4 tempo.
If you change the tempos, if you change the oh, you're just saying try it if you play them both together and see what the hell happens.
Yeah, what happened? I'm just saying. Maybe the two together make a perfect song for you.
You know, just because we're having this conversation, I'm gonna. I just hit it. You know, I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna have to try that. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that.
Let me know how that goes.
That's you know
it's not like I've ever tried that.
With that being said, I gotta give you a high five and like we gotta
give it.
We gotta definitely do this again. I've really enjoyed this experience. Like I'm cutting it short because my phone is about to die, and the last thing you need is to be. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah, this is and it's funny. Like I'm never afraid to talk to somebody, but coming on, I was like, man, I don't know what this is gonna be. And then I just like I let that expression, let go and let God, right? It's kind of like you know what ifs, right? Like it's like
exactly.
I'm here to have fun. There's do you know the movie Spinal Tap?
I don't. You say all these cool movies, and I don't know.
Okay, so every musician needs to have seen. Well, I shouldn't say every musician. Every white pasty musician should have seen the movie Spinal Tap. So I'm kind of interested to see what you think of this movie because it's funny. Like if you go to a bar of a bunch of rock heads and you say, "Hey, everybody knows Spinal Tap." It's like every banger, every punk rock kid, every they all know Spinal Tap, and it's so hilarious. It's so funny. But like one of the last lines in the movie is, "Have a good time all the time. That's my philosophy."
I enjoy that philosophy. I
Yeah,
enjoy that philosophy.
that's the way we gotta be, man. We only got, I don't know, what's my clock say? I've
Don't
only
do
got
that.
like
Don't do that.
37 and a half years left on the planet. I gotta enjoy it. I think maybe it's 38. I don't know.
I always tell people I'm done at 88. If I get to the end of that, I'm gonna have to go ahead and off.
But then you think, look at Betty White, man. Like, or the Queen of England. Like, isn't she like 96 or I don't know? Her husband's like 99.
She's infinite, man. She's lying about her age. She's been here forever. No, just
Well, her husband looks pretty fucking old. I can tell you that. He looks pretty old. Like 99. That's what 99. Or that lady from France that's 117 years old.
I don't know her, but it would be nice to be able to live for a long. We always joke about kicking our taking our little mind and popping it into a situation where we don't know if it's an actual us or a copy.
Yeah.
You know.
Why not? Let's get cloned. Let's do it.
Let's
But
do it.
yeah, let's do it. Let's get cloned.
Let's get cloned.
Let's get cloned. I can't wait. We'll do it at South by Southwest.
I'm down. I'm sure they'll have some little machine for us to test out there.
Oh man, this has been fun. Thank you for setting this up.
And thank you for coming out and hanging out, man. I look forward to the next. Actually, with my homework, like this section there, I come back. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime, man. I'll come back and chat with you anytime. It's been a blast. And I'll just give one more plug for my podcast, which is Film Rage Podcast. And they can find us at Film Rage YYC on all the social media. And check out our website. I want people to experience everything that Film Rage has. It's filmrageyyc.com. And leave us some messages. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Dare us to see terrible movies. We will do it for you and tell you how terrible it is.
The last thing I'll leave you with is here in what do we call it? The Zuzu Rodeo community. What we like to do, or at least what I like to push, is, hey, community, we're all here hanging out and whatnot. What you could do is put that in. There's a channel there called Promotion. You could put that there. If you ever get bored, there's a part where we talk about movies. If you want to just say, check out these movies, you could do that there. Just, hey, man. Oh, and the most important part, please change your notifications to @you, because if you don't do that, sometimes people are up at 3 a.m. and they're just talking for no reason. And the last thing you want is someone blowing up your phone at 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah. See, well, I haven't downloaded it on my phone. It's only on my laptop.
You're safe.
So
you're good.
Safe. But thank you for that tip. I would have been, what the hell's happening on my phone?
All right, sir. It's been a good night, and I'll talk to you next time.
You bet. Thanks, buddy. Cheers.
Cheers.